Here we're going to cover the setting up and resetting of Catia V5. We customized Catia V5 a little at the university, and we're going to show you how to customize your home version to match the university version. And then we're going to show you how to reset either version in case you lose toolbars or things get out of control. So at home and at the university. At home, you're going to be running CV5 SE Student Edition, and we do have another presentation on exactly how to install CV5 SE. Once it's installed, we call this the out-of-the-box software, or OOTB. That's a very common industry term. At the university, I'm going to make up a new term. I'm going to call it OOTB Cal for customized a little. So why do we customize for class, and what are the customizations? Well, we customize it a little so we can see the icons a little better. We want more of the icons visible for the videos and for the overhead projector. And also in the classroom, we've switched the units from millimeters to inches. So there are 4 basic areas. One is we're going to show the graphics toolbar. We use this a lot in the classroom. Second, we're going to customize the start menu. And then we're going to take a look at some toolbar customizations, both in the part design workbench and in the sketcher workbench. And finally, we'll look at, in the tools options, how to change those units to inches from millimeters. Okay, let's take a look at a little demo here now. Okay, we're in Catia now. And in Catia, one of the things I'd like to see is the graphics toolbar. So I'm going to right-click on any toolbar, and I'm going to pick the Graphics Properties toolbar. And it has appeared. Now it may appear floating like this for you. I'd like for you to take it and dock it to the very top. We like that for our class at the very top. Okay, great. So now we have a graphics toolbar. Now step 2 is to customize the start menu. Now in Catia, the start menu has a lot of all the different workbenches for Catia, and there are a lot of them. For this class, primarily we're going to be working with these 2 workbenches. Part design, assembly design, and eventually you may get into wireframe and surfaces. So you hate to come through sifting through all of these all the time. Well, over on the right hand side, way over here, is a we call this the Quick Start menu. And the Quick Start menu, you can put any of these icons over here, any of these workbenches can be put over here into your personal Quick Start. So let's do a little of that. So let's right-click on any toolbar, and let's come down to Customize. And in the Customize, there's several tabs, and there's the Start menu. So I'm going to customize this Start menu over here, and I'm going to scroll down until I see Part Design, and I'm going to put it over there. And you know what? Even though this isn't assembly design class, let's put that over there too. And let's put wireframe and surfaces while we're at it. Let's put those 3 toolbars over here in our start menu, and let's hit close. So now anytime we want to go to part design or start a new part, we can just select that little start menu and pick one of our 3. Now this really saves us time when we start files, because normally you have to do a file, new, and then you scroll down and say you want to start a new part. Now with this quick icon here, we just pick it, and we just pick part, and say OK, and it starts a new part. Okay? So now we've turned the graphics toolbar on. We've shown how to set up the start menu. Now let's talk about these toolbars here. Now, are all of the toolbars showing? Well, it turns out that they're not. There's a little chevron here, which means there's some actual toolbars that are hidden off the screen. You know, I kind of like for class to be able to see just about everything. So I'm going to undock some of these by picking the little bar at the top of this set of tools and pulling it off to the side. Now that it's off to the side, you can do a variety of things. You can redock it to the top, and if you pull it off, it's horizontal. Now you can, if you want, take it over and dock it again by grabbing the little bar and bringing it over. Oh, now it's docked back. But I want to pull it out just a little bit and put it back in. Oh, let's see if I can get it right there. Okay, so now I'm docked in at what we call the double dock condition. And I can see that I have room at the bottom of this toolbar now on the right. So that means all of my icons are visible. Now, occasionally I double dock the bottom also. My screen is awfully wide here, but if yours is not this wide, you may want to consider pulling up a toolbar to the double dock condition. This way, all of your toolbars are docked and not floating. It makes it easier to work with your geometry. Now, that's in the part design workbench. When you're in part design, you can go to Sketcher and you can sketch on a sketch plane, and now you're in the Sketcher workbench. Now, inside the Sketcher workbench, there's toolbars also, and the Sketcher workbench has these two toolbars are normally just kind of floating around here. And I don't like them floating around because they get in the way of anything you're trying to do. So I immediately dock this one up next to my graphics toolbar, and then I pull this one up and dock it to the right of that one. And I'm going to show you why I put this one to the right and not in the middle. Is because this one is for your Sketcher tools. For instance, if I pick the ellipse option, it shows the options of the ellipse. If I pick a circle option, it shows the options. So it's constantly flying out to the right. So if we dock it right here, then we have plenty of room for it to fly out whenever it changes. Okay? So now we've docked our toolbars in Sketcher. We don't really need to double dock much here, but you know, the ones on the bottom you may want to double dock yourself. Okay? Now let's get out of Sketcher. So we have so far shown to turn on the graphics toolbar. We've shown how to customize the start menu. And we've shown how to, in both Part Design and Sketcher, double dock your toolbars, and in Sketcher to dock the floating toolbars. Now the last thing we're going to talk about in the customizing is Tools Options. Like most software, if you go to Tools Options, you see a lot of options for the software. Well, Catia has tons of options, all kinds. But there's one in particular under Parameters and Measure. If you pick the Units tab, this is where we change the units from millimeters to inches. And now we will be matching what we see at the university, and we'll say OK. Okay. So now we have all of our customizations done. Now let's talk about resetting Catia V5 and how to get it back to that OOTB and then back to Cal. Okay. Let's say when you're working with Catia and you're making things, let's say you come over here and you're drawing things and you're making pads and pockets, and you know, for whatever reason you've decided to pull this toolbar out, and you've decided to pull this toolbar out, and then you've decided to fly this one out with that little diamond there. Now if you close this one, well, you can always just get it back. But if you close this toolbar, one of your main toolbars, if you close it, it's gone. You have to come over here and you have to right-click on it to get it to come back up. And how do you know what one it was? Oh, it just so happens that I happen to know that one was called Sketch-Based Features. Whew! Good, I've got it back. But if things get out of control and you've got things all messed up. In fact, you can even come up to Tools Options and you could change your visualization to be some other color. You could change it to be green. And now your background is green. And oh wow, we just want to get back to normal. So we're going to cover the 3 options to get you back to normal. One is how to reset all your tools options. The other is how to reset your toolbars. And then finally, restarting Catia. Okay, let's go back to our Catia model. Now, when I select the pad icon, I can make pads. But if I select one of these other icons, like a multi-pad, now multi-pad is the icon that's displayed here. And even if I reset my toolbars, this will not reset. So each one of these areas has specific things that it resets. Let's look first at resetting the tools options. Okay. So I'll go to Tools, Options, and on every Options panel, no matter what one it is, down in the lower left-hand corner are a couple of icons. And this one in the very left, if we pick it, it comes up with an option that says reset all the options for everything. I like to pick that and say yes and say OK. And notice now that our background, which was set in Tools Option, is back to normal. And guess what else was set in Tools Options? Well, you were on inches, and now you're back to the default millimeters. Okay? Your toolbars are not in position, though, but if we right-click on any toolbar, let's move it up a little bit and right-click on it, and we'll go to, well, let's right-click way up here so you can actually see it at the bottom. We'll go to Customize, and we'll select the Toolbars tab at the top, and we'll say we want to restore all the contents. So in case we've got custom toolbars that we've made, we can say, OK, restore all the contents, but then also restore the position. Okay. Now all your toolbars are back in position, right? Well, almost. You still have to go into Sketcher, because any toolbars that you set in Sketcher that you may have drug out, and remember we redocked a couple at the top, those are all out of the default position. So if we right-click on any one and go to Customize here, and we go to Toolbars, and we'll say Restore Position and say OK. Now you'll notice that all of our toolbars are back in position, including the two floating toolbars that are just naturally floating most of the time. And we've also lost our graphics toolbar. Notice that. Okay, so let's get out of Sketcher, and let's go back and see where we are now. So we've talked about resetting tools option. We've talked about resetting the toolbars. Now the final step to get some things reset is you actually have to restart Catia. Because you'll notice here that in my pad icon is normally the default. It normally looks like this. But we had changed it to look like this. Oops, I think the other one is the one we chose. Okay. So let's see how to restart, how to redo that. First of all, let's get this back in position by going to Customize, Toolbars, Restore Position. Okay. And notice it's still on the multi-pad option. Now I'm actually going to close Catia. Okay. And then I'm going to go to the Start menu and start Catia again. And Catia, when it starts up, and I'll go to Part Design. Okay. Oh, look, there's my icon back to the default. Okay. And that brings us to the end of how to do all the resetting. Now, of course, now that you're all reset, you'll have to go back up and do the cal settings. You'll have to turn the graphics tool back on, the Start menu set up, and you'll have to do some of these things. But they'll be very quick for you, and it'll be good practice.